Hey guys, still TLR for life here, and I think it's been about a week or so since I've done a video. Went to State Line RC for their 4th of July Firecracker race, and boy was that a lot of fun. About 260 plus entries. It was a very long day. We got there Friday morning for practice. I actually rebuilt this truggy at the racetrack because I didn't have time. This is my daughter's short course that I was building throughout the week, getting that ready for the race. So her first time out with that went really well. I'll talk about that in a minute. So I rebuilt the truggy at the racetrack. The buggy was all done. We started racing at 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and we did not finish up. I think I ran my truggy main. My buggy main I ran at about, I don't know, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. Ran my truggy main about 12:30 at night. They didn't finish up racing until after 2:30 a.m. So it was a very, very long day of racing. They did have some computer troubles, so they had to knock off the third qualifier. So we only ran 2 qualifiers and then our mains because of the computer trouble. We had 22 heats. And they had to rerun races like 3 through 10 or something. So they took out the third qualifier. We only got to run 2 in a main. But anyway, Tatiana here did really well. Her first race, she ended up qualifying 12th out of 14th for her very first race, which was really good. So she started 12th in her main, moved up a spot, and finished 11th. So that's pretty good for your first time. What do you think?
I think I did awesome.
What'd you think of the truck? You like it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it handles good, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, you did really good. I'm super proud of you. So can't wait for our next one. Michigan State Championship Series coming up in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Got to get our cars ready, huh?
Yep, gotta clean them all up.
Yep. So anyway, we had some issues with the right rear shock on this. For whatever reason, it began to leak. And by her main, I noticed that the right rear shock had no fluid in it. So I went through and refilled it, and I don't know, but it doesn't seem to be leaking as bad. So anyway, I'm going to have to take her shock apart and see what's going on with it, at least clean it out really good. I didn't have a chance to really take the piston out and clean all the muck and mud out of there. I don't know what happened. So I'm going to get to the bottom of that and see what's up. The rest of the shocks are fine, so I don't know what went wrong. Could have been my fault for building really fast, but I highly doubt it because I always take my time with everything no matter what. So I think we just had a faulty O-ring or something. What I have for a setup on this, I think we've unboxed it. Everybody knows it's got a Tekin motor in it with the RX-8 speed control Gen 2. And 5,500 milliamp LiPo batteries by Phantom, I think? I don't even know. Anyway, yep, we've got a Pro 4 HD motor in here, 4,300 kilovolts, which is a lot. I had to turn this thing down. This thing is a handful when it is on, when it is not regulated and turned all the way up. It's a handful for me to hang on to, so you can imagine what it's like for her right now. So we got it turned down. We took, it's down about little less than half. I got it turned down about 60%, it's up to about 60%, so she's doing well with that. Somebody had mentioned, well, let me do a race report first. Okay, well, we got her all set. We know where she ended up. In my buggy main, I had some horrible qualifying. I couldn't get my head together. I actually ended up falling asleep at the track, and my buddy woke me up and said, okay, you're up. So I had to go up on my first qualifier half asleep, and I did terrible. So I actually sat out my truggy round because I was up right after I had to run my race, go out to Marshall, and then run my truggy race. I was so out of it from taking a nap, I didn't even run so I only got 1 truggy qualifier in. But let me go on to the buggy. I ended up 4th in the D main, which was horrible. So I knew I had some ground to cover. Started off kind of slow. I was like, oh man, I don't know how I'm going to do here. And my adrenaline kicked in. Ended up bumping up from the D main to the C, and I think I finished third in the C main. So there was a lot of fast guys there. So, I mean, I feel I should have at least made the B main, but, I mean, what are you going to do? There was a lot of traffic to get through. A lot of the slower traffic was hard to navigate through, and then, of course, you had to deal with the fast guys. On top of lapping the slower people, you also had to try and race the faster people. So it was a lot of fun. It was very challenging. Can't ask for a better day. My P5 ran phenomenal. I'm still waiting on picking up my Pico Boost for this, which will happen next week for sure. And I'll break that in and run that. So the buggy held together awesome. Truggy, I think I got another DNF in Truggy, and it was my own fault, and I will admit what I did is I rebuilt the thing, and I believe either my spring on the exhaust header popped off, or my dumb ass forgot to put it on when I rebuilt it, and I'm thinking more along the lines that I forgot to put the spring on. I left it in here because I was going to put it on, and then I decided not to because it was too late to get into my main. So, anyway, yeah, this is the spring I think I left off because I found it in the toolbox. It was my own stupid fault. What are you going to do? That's racing. It happens. But I think I was in third in Truggy in the B main, so I was trying to bump up, but I just couldn't catch the faster guys in the field. Then my exhaust fell off. It sounded like a damn chainsaw. I shut it down because when you lose your exhaust, of course, you lose fuel pressure, you lean the motor out. That's no good. So as soon as I heard this thing getting really loud, I instantly pulled it off the track and told the turn marshal to kill it. So that was the end of my night. We had a heck of a lot of fun though. So just tough luck racing. What are you going to do? Live and learn. Live and learn. That was the first time I think I've ever left something off, and I felt really dumb about it because it actually cost me a race. So anyway, everything went really well. Cars, other than that, held together fine. They didn't even get that dirty, which I'm surprised. The track was actually very dialed and hooked up. I was running my typical setup, and Diamondbacks seemed to be working really well for tires on that surface. I was running, I think, City Blocks. Yeah, I ran these City Blocks in my main, and they were hooked up on the Truggy. The cars were just rotating in the turns and blasting out of the corner like nothing, so that was a good thing. And somebody had asked me, now I can get to my point, somebody asked me what precautionary measures, I forgot the guy's name, I'm sorry, I'm sure he'll be watching this. He asked me what precautionary measures I take and what I do to my cars to make sure that nothing goes wrong. First of all, don't forget any parts. That's one thing. Second of all, I can go through real quick and show you what I do. After, of course, I rebuild everything, you guys know I tear them all down and inspect everything. Look for any worn out bearings, any bent hinge pins, any bent shock shafts, anything that's a wearable, breakable item. You just go through and inspect everything. Make sure no threads pulled out. Any screws that come loose, you know, you're rebuilding it, so anything that goes metal to metal, you want to put Loctite in. A couple other things that I like to do, just on a personal note, is if you can see in here, this little zip tie, that is holding up the wires from hitting the chassis for the servos. I don't want them grounding out, you know, on the chassis and rubbing bare and causing all kinds of problems. So I just kind of zip tie those out of the way and make sure they're not touching the chassis. Another thing I do is the wires that run in the servo tray, or the battery box, battery tray, whatever you want to call it, radio tray, there we go. I'll take liquid electrical tape, or actually shrink tube, and put shrink tube over the wires. You might have to cut them and solder them, but any wires that run underneath there, under the battery or anything, I put shrink tube on them for extra protection. That'll just keep anything from rubbing through so you don't have bare wires. Just a little extra step I like to take. A lot of guys, I've been running return springs lately. I took, well, not return springs, but I take rubber bands for like hair. and you wrap them around the throttle for like a return or a fail-safe deal. If your throttle ever pops off, you know, your carburetor will slam shut and you'll just go right down to idle. Other than that, that's really about it. It's really all about your teardown and inspection, just to look for anything that is worn out, possibly broken or close to breaking, anything bent. You know, you just want to stay on top of it. That's the whole reason why I tear these things down completely, inspect everything, and then put it all back together. Other than that, that's about it. Just use Loctite on all your metal-to-metal contact. When you got a metal screw going into a metal component, always use Loctite. Even for the hinge pin braces, especially if you're running aluminum ones, even though these are nylock nuts, you can run a little bit of Loctite on those just to keep those from backing out. Of course, Loctite your motor down. Between qualifiers, check every screw. Just give them a little extra torque. Tighten them up a little bit, make sure those don't come loose, and really that's about it. So if you have any questions on that, you can ask me, and I'll be happy to help you and show you what I do. But as far as everything goes, that's about all I really have for you.
Bye, guys.
We got Tatiana. Well, we're not saying bye yet.
Oh.
She's got her bubbles there. For her car, I'm kind of new to electric, but this thing held together really well too. This will get a teardown and inspection soon. We're gonna clean it up real good. It didn't get run that hard, so I don't think I'm gonna tear it down right away. But she's gonna get a little more practice at RC Clubhouse, which is a place that's right down the road. They're an indoor electric only place, so she can get a lot of practice there. I'm gonna set this thing up really good for her again and let her get some practice. Then we'll tear it down and inspect it, put it back together, and get her ready to rip for the Michigan State Series for the novice class there. And that should be it, guys. If you have any questions, be sure and ask me. I appreciate you guys watching my channel and subscribing. And I'm going to try to keep some things real. I tried to get some video footage of my daughter's race. I'll try and edit it into this one. If not, maybe I can try to squeeze it in somewhere. I'm not really sure. It depends on the quality of the video. It didn't come out too well, so we'll just see what happens. But we'll get some practice footage of her. And I'm still working on trying to get some footage of racing. I was so busy at the track, as always, it was very hard to get any video footage. I'm going to have to really work on trying hard to just get you guys some video footage at the races. Even if it's not me driving, just of cars driving in general. I can show you where I hang out and where I race. I know I need to get on that, so I'm going to try like hell to do that for you guys real soon in the very near future, maybe the next video. I'll try to get some video footage of the Michigan State Series as long as there's enough entries there to where there's enough time between qualifying rounds. I can get some video footage. I didn't have much time because I had a truck to rebuild the day before racing. I did want to get some practice footage, but it took me about 3.5 to 4 hours to rebuild this thing. So, and then I also had to get this thing set up a little bit too over there. So, it was a little tough. So this next time we're going to be more prepared and I think ready to go. So, I'll try and get some footage for you guys, I promise. Anyways, thanks for watching again, guys. Any questions, just ask me in the comments section. I'll be happy to help you. You guys have a real good one, and we'll talk to you real soon.
See ya.
We'll take it easy, guys. Thanks for watching.